This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. We're our weekly meeting for the supervisors at the courthouse. It's available by GoToMeeting also and recorded for future viewing. We have a motion, or excuse me, agenda in front of us. A motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion is our second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approve the minutes of the August 20th meeting in claims.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion to approve the minutes and claims. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Cindy. Aye. Mike.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Motion passes. County Attorney General discussion.
I don't have anything. Looks like you guys have enough going on, so
Perfect.
Thank you.
go for it.
Thank you.
All right. Sheriff, I don't believe is here today. Any department head discussion?
Rachel, will we be getting the cooperative rebate agreement, public hearing things set? Is it going to, have you got any
I talked to
documents?
Jenny this morning, but we haven't heard anything from Dorsey Whitney yet.
Okay.
So I can send Amy an email.
Okay.
I see the New Haven property is coming to a close, so I don't know. We have a plan for that. I know there's some interested parties in purchasing the land, so. The church and the lady next door would like to split it. Just want to bring it up, something to think about.
Okay.
Figure out what we're gonna do with it, so.
Buildings are down.
Yeah.
Yep,
There's
we
just a
got all
pile
the
of
cement files
cement.
now.
If you load the cement, that'll be gone shortly, I think.
He did a nice job of getting right at it.
Oh, he did.
I was pleased at how fast he went at this.
He brought up some dirt, filled in the low spots, but the way it looks, the property drains to the alley and then to the front, so. It's probably, can't be level, otherwise it's gonna back water up into the house next door, so I think the shape of it is probably where it needs to be, now it just needs worked up and seeded, and now it looks, I think he did a good job.
There's
Recycling too, everything.
where the hoop building was, there's a lot of concrete underneath of that, and last time I was there, I was still there, so.
Yeah, it's all in the pile now.
He piled that,
Yeah,
okay.
they're working
Yeah,
on
I think
that.
he's got it all on time.
They were actually there on Saturday. Going at it.
They're good.
They were there yesterday, and he too.
I didn't leave my house yesterday.
Oh, you did?
No.
Oh, okay, well, anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up, so
They're good.
think of a plan of what to do with it.
Very good. Any other department? County engineer update.
I don't have much for you. Update you, the salt shed walls are up. We're gonna do some backfilling before they come in. They kind of pushed back their erection of the hoop building until the first week in September, possibly the second week, so we'll be ready for that. Rock run's pretty much done either yesterday or today. And then, I might be going to, Franklin County after the meeting. They're doing a process on some gravel roads. I want to see what they're doing with some. They're putting a chemical in the roads to stabilize a little bit. I want to see what that's all about and see if it's anything that we can potentially try over here. Just take a look at it. So otherwise, that's all I got for you today.
I went to the Statesville Park, I want to thank you for mowing the four slopes.
Mike and I went down there and we both, well, I looked at it and he got there, he agreed it needed to be cut down. It wasn't good.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Yep.
So, all right,
Rich,
thank you.
I got, so I don't forget, this weekend, I got an email from the individual, 430th and Underwood. We discussed about the culvert and garbage and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
A few weeks ago, he emailed me and he's happy. He said, looks good.
Good.
Thanks for cleaning it up.
Yeah, so it was just to get out there and not have to go on every individual time to go pick up stuff. We went out at one time and picked it all up. leftover concrete and pipe pieces.
Exactly.
Discussion and possible action on ISG Agriculture Inspection Service.
Tiffany got a hold of me, she's with ISG, she's the one that talked with us before, and since the other lateral is being proposed in Metro County, she wanted to know if we still wanted to retain ISG for agricultural inspection as they're doing for the north-south lateral if that happens. Did the board see the documents that was in the packet? Okay. So there's three documents there. One is the one that we approved for the north-south lateral. And then the other two are based on the same format that the one will supersede the one that we did because it's in the same format of the east-west lateral if we want them to do it for that. So I don't know if I'm explaining that right or not. So if we want them to retain our services and we want both documents to look the same with the docket number and everything the same on both of them as compared to the old one that doesn't have that information, we just sign each document accordingly and they're going to do the east-west lateral also for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's no cost to the county for this service, correct?
No, we are a pass-through, meaning that Summit Carbon will pay for it, but we get billed and then we pass it through to them.
Yep.
We're required to have one, so I mean, if we don't do ISG, we're gonna have to look for somebody else and.
No.
I think we retain the same, the same company to do both laterals. Would only be the right way to do it,
So that's what I thought too.
if everybody else is okay with that.
Yep. Do we want to have use both new documents so that they're the same format for both approvals?
Probably should.
I think that's
Clear.
make that motion. Okay, so I'll move to approve. We retain ISG for agricultural inspection services to the east-west lateral, the proposed east-west lateral in Metro County. And we utilize both documents that were provided to us that show the docket numbers on both documents. How's that? Quite a motion.
Motion is our second.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Roll call, Todd,
I,
Mark,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Sydney.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on planning and zoning consulting service.
Hi, I gave you guys that paper last week as an email from our Council of Governments regarding the consulting service that they're offering and the price tag. Just a reminder, that would be $3,500 plus mileage for any time the individual had to come here to be here for meetings or anything like that. I'm assuming a lot of the work will take place in their office until meetings obviously took place here and we were having readings and the process of amending whatever needed to be amended. So that's why I'm here, to see if you guys would accept that, so that way I can kind of continue on with the process of getting that wind ordinance completed. Personally, I think that it's a great idea. Not that my draft is, not professional by any means, but I feel like having this consulting service come in and they have a lot more experience in this could actually save us in the long run. I look at this from a legal perspective, Aaron might too. If anything was to ever possibly come up, this $3,500 would save us a lot of money on the back end, possibly, so.
And this is to clean up the procedural services since we are zoned, Mitchell County is zoned. This ensures that there's not a conflict between the ordinance, the proposed ordinance and the existing zoning that you have.
Right, it makes them intertwine with each other, it makes them work together. So,
For what he's willing to do, that there's a lot of things that he has down that he would do for that dollar amount. I feel it's totally appropriate.
I was expecting a way higher number when he originally came back to me, I was expecting at least 10,000. So
What are other counties doing? Are they,
they're going with the council of governments, local ones, I mean, relatively local. They went with council of governments to help them. And this is in comparison to someone, like people who are as novice as I am at creating ordinances. My job really isn't in the ability of creating policy. I can assist with that, but I'm not someone who does that professionally. So this individual at the Council of Governments creates policy for a living. So I think it's well worth it. And again, I was expecting a way higher number. I was expecting at least 10 grand. So the fact that this came back at, in my opinion, a lower number it's almost a no-brainer, in my opinion, but it's up to you guys, so.
Does this come out of your budget then, or is this?
Yeah, I would find space in my budget, I think.
We also have consulting services that we questioned about before. It was, I think you told me there's $115,000 in there, and we saved some of that for the cat park tear down, so we should have enough money in that for doing it.
So that too. So I don't have to drain my budget, I guess.
I would move to make a motion to hire the planning and zoning consulting services,
3,500 plus mileage.
3,500 plus mileage.
You have a motion, is there a second?
Okay.
Second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Mark,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Cindy.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. I will be contacting them today to get this process going, so that way we meet the deadline for the moratorium.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action on supervisors compensation board representatives.
So we have to, in an earlier meeting, we approved that we wanted to have a compensation board for the county. We need 2 representatives for the board. I contacted that individual.
Yeah, I contacted 2 people that would do it also, so.
Okay.
I don't know how you want to do it now since we have more than.
I actually have one I contacted also, so I wanted to get this going, especially it's gonna be September already and they'll need to start meetings, so with it being a new board, I didn't want us to be the last one, so. I don't know how you want to do it.
We just keep these names private until we approve it.
Well, actually, since it was presented at the meeting, it's a public document, but I was just trying to avoid throwing names out everywhere
Okay.
for politeness purposes. If somebody really had to know who this was, they could request this document, but it'd be nice to know the other people that are being considered also. So.
We could have a special meeting and go into closed session and discuss it amongst ourselves.
I'd have to, I don't remember if that qualifies for a closed session meeting or not, something like that, but
I don't think it probably, I mean, I don't have the code in front of me, but I doubt
I don't think so either.
that does. This is probably the kind of thing that the public is exactly entitled to. I'd have to look for sure, but I don't recall any exception for this.
So we could, should we table it till next week? And
Sure.
we can get the names.
get a list of the candidates and we can
get that in the packet for next week.
If I can interject, it might be helpful if each one of those people that has expressed an interest would write some sort of statement about why they're interested, so that Jim knows, the people that Todd talked to, why they're interested. Mike knows, Cindy knows, so you have some information other than just their name,
Thank you, Kathy.
their qualifications, why they're interested.
Sounds good.
In case we're not familiar with the person.
Yeah.
And, be a couple of weeks then by the time we get all this. Yeah,
Oh, I bet they can get it done in a week if you let them know today.
I can't speak for them.
I know that. I can't speak for them either.
Sometimes it takes a little longer than you think, and we each want to contact them, that might take a little bit. We can try it next week and see what happens.
We'll table it and see how it works.
My individual, I have it done in minutes, so I can tell him today and he'd have it tomorrow, but
Okay.
I'd say go for next week.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Table until next week. Discussion on ARPA dollars.
The way the ARPA dollars were was that by the end of '24, we need to be committed with all the money that we were allotted. I believe that was 2.05 million, I think it was. So the HVAC project absorbed a significant amount of it. The HVAC project is winding down here. Hopefully today we're going to be in closeout stages, I hope. So there's approximately $84,000 left in retainage for the HVAC project. And Ray just sent me the information. I think what I have here is there's $114,000, more than $114,000 remaining. Take $84,000 out of that. We also have $6,300 for our consulting services. That's gonna have to come out of that. So that leaves, from my math, leaves about $24,000 of ARPA money left. Now, we can overcommit projects, but if we don't commit something by the end of '24, we're sending money back. So this isn't action today. This is just, I don't think I went to action, did I? No. Okay. So this is just information that we need to start thinking about.
Didn't they release it that you could use it for anything?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to just keep that in mind for, I don't want to send any money back.
No. You could commit it to the road department if you want, right? Or not.
Is Rich still here?
Yeah, he's still here.
I know, I was stepped outside to speak, and then also I can't hear. I was just telling Rich, I'm like the old person back here always saying, what are they talking about? So I have no idea what the question is.
Oh.
Or if I'm being called on for something.
Mike made the comment that if you go to the road department, I just was kind of jokingly poking at Rich saying.
Oh,
"Is he
see,
still here?"
you're talking about Rich, not me. See, that's not me. I couldn't tell who you were looking at.
Every department head in the building and beyond is going,
Yeah,
thanks for that.
yeah. So, anyways, stuff we have to think about.
Sounds good.
All right, think on that one. Discussion of possible action on eminent domain resolution 12-42-24. 1242-24. I guess I put this on there for this week. Me and Mike have been talking the last couple of weeks about getting a resolution for eminent domain. And to give a little bit of history, I'm on the Heartland Insurance Board, which there's 10 counties in this Heartland pool. And about a year ago, a group of residents came and asked if we would do something with a Summit pipeline. And so I went to the meeting, and there's 4 other counties that the pipeline is going to go through their counties also. So we talked to Carl, county attorney down for Heartland Insurance, and he said just his suggestion was just to wait on it to see what the IUB board does on their rulings. Well, IUB has now changed to the IUC, and they made a ruling on giving them permits for Summit to go through their pipeline, and then they also gave eminent domain to use, which I don't care if you want a pipeline in your backyard or not, but I was really upset when they did the eminent domain, because that's not this pipeline isn't for public use, it's to benefit a group of people and profit. So, and that's not what eminent domain is for. So there's 13 other counties that have a resolution for eminent domain, and Worth County did it yesterday. So there's 14, and there's more going on board all the time. So I've been to a few meetings, was one in Rockford 3 weeks ago, and they had quite good information on it. And then I talked to Corey Sawinski, who's a supervisor down in Bremer County, who was kind of spearheading this resolutions. And so we got a copy of his, and some of the counties are using his, and some of them are doing their own resolutions. So with the help of Rachel, we took their resolution and just inserted our names. So I don't think it's it's not a use for eminent domain according to statute. So that's why we brought it up today to pass this resolution. Did I forget anything? Or?
No. I'd make a motion to,
I have a question. Has Aaron looked at this yet?
I don't know. There's been plenty of, the 13 counties, many attorneys have looked at it. So,
It was sent by email. Yeah,
With that same one,
the Bremer County one.
is that what that is? Okay, so, yes, I didn't know if what you were looking at was the same as what I got. I've gotten some different drafts from Deb, and that is, I remember getting those from, I remember getting the Bremer County one from her.
And that one was signed, so that's no longer a draft.
Right, and I read it, I looked at it, quite a bit of detail. So if that's what that is, then I've seen it.
Okay.
And from, I mean, I don't make any policy decisions here, right? But from what I remember reading, I thought it was fairly well crafted. I mean, I don't see, I don't know how binding it is, right? I mean, if there ends up being a lot of eminent domain questions, or things end up in court, I mean, this resolution may not have a lot to do to stop that, but at the same time, I am also a believer that local government does not always just have to do what state government or federal government says you have to do. Maybe on the losing end of it, but it's okay, in my opinion, at least from a legal perspective, to say, hey, we're not in favor of this. We want to make our voices heard. That's a policy decision you guys make, not me. But from county attorney perspective, legality issues, I read that resolution, I thought, well, I don't see any harm to the county. Like I said, ultimately is, if there ends up being a lot of litigation or constitutional questions about this, I don't know that or any other resolution is necessarily going to have an effect. But at the same time, it might. I mean, if the people speak, somebody has to listen sometime, I guess. So, I mean, then I guess that's
Thank you.
what I said, I guess.
I have one question on the resolution. Does it cover both public and private domain?
yes.
It does? Thank you.
I would make that motion to Pass resolution 1242-24.
We have a motion, is there a second? I'll second that motion. Any discussion?
So I have some comments.
Yes.
Resolutions are, let me back up. I am not for the eminent domain in regards to what this is happening. And we expressed that when we sent that letter of objection to the IUB. We've already submitted our objection directly to them. Now, yes, I'm not anti-resolution here, but I find some problems. Resolutions are generally something that we're going to do. What are we going to do with this? The only thing that I can see in this document that says what we're going to do is at the end, it says we're going to urge the IUB to, I believe it says, not use eminent domain. Correct. Going to urge the IU Utilities Board. So what we're doing is we're going to urge, we're making a statement, we're going to urge them. Okay. We filed an objection letter directly to them, not urging them, saying that we were more direct with our letter. There again, I don't really know what this is doing. The IUB is definitely, no, not the IUB, the IUC is not going to contact counties to see if they have a resolution on file before they make their decisions. They're not. Also, there's 2 errors on this document. I don't know if anybody's proofed it or not.
Yes.
There's two errors on it.
Okay.
So I have a problem approving something that's got mistakes on it.
Where do you see the errors?
It's called IU Utilities Board, and they're not called that anymore. So we're not filing a resolution about the IU Utilities Board because that doesn't exist anymore. So this whole, I don't actually really like the format of the whole resolution because it's more of an informational essay. A lot of needless stuff in it. Resolution should be direct as far as what we're actually trying to do. This is just kind of a, well, I'll say it the way I did, an informational essay. So I can't approve something that's incorrect.
So that's the only errors, the IUB is the IUC?
The only ones that I could see, now there's no way that I could look up existing court cases, the Kilo case, all that stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna look all that up. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff in here that I just think is kind of informational essay, but at any rate, that's what my opinion is on resolutions and this resolution, and that there are 2 mistakes on it.
Well, I could rephrase my motion to approve this with those corrections. Instead of IU Utilities, IUC.
We have a motion for the change
Corrections.
to corrections.
I'll second that.
I'll second that. Jim seconds that one, the amendment. And then also, if you look up county home rule, which is code 331301, it states that preserve the rights, privilege, property in the county to its residents. So when we took the oath of office, we agreed to do the all of the codes of Iowa, and this is home rule. Talks about the rights of the public.
I totally agree with that, 100%. But there again, we have certain powers, and I say this all the time, they have wrote us out of this deal. They really have. I have 479B up here. It's the purpose of the General Assembly enacting this law to grant the Utilities Board the authority to implement certain controls, which are to protect landowners and tenants from environmental or economic damages, to approve the location and route of hazardous liquid pipelines, and to grant the rights of eminent domain, which I don't agree. So I'm all for home rule. I want local control, but when the legislature writes us out of it, that's simply it. They write us out of it, and that's the statement right there. They have assumed the role to protect all of this. I don't agree with it, but it's the law.
Don't you think we ought to take some action done locally?
And I seconded that amendment. Yep.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I got, Aaron kind of answered one of my questions, but I've been saying all along, I'm definitely against eminent domain. I do not want that. But I've also said I've been in meetings with Summit Carbon Pipeline and they said they do not want to have any eminent domain. They do not want that. They don't even want the sheriff to be involved.
Then they can
So-
ask the IB not to do that.
Could I?
Todd, speak with it.
I'm sorry.
So I'm here saying I'm against eminent domain. That is for our community, our local county. But I also have to have a little bit of trust in Summit Carbon telling me all along, we do not want to use eminent domain. Okay? We're not there yet. And I feel what Aaron said is about this document. This could just be, if we go to the courts and start fighting this, this is just not one more thing that's probably going to be brought up. And how much money are we going to keep spending of the county's money to keep fighting for this? And this document is the second, like Jim said, we've already sent one to the IUC board. And I think they know how we feel. I know how you people feel. This isn't the first time you've been here. But I just think we need to keep moving forward and see how it plays out. I believe South Dakota put a shutdown on them now, just here in the last week.
A temporary.
Yeah, so I'd hate to see this get us into the courts and hold us up and attorney fees and Mitchell County taxpayers' money. I'm against eminent domain. I know you guys, everybody else is too, but I also have that in my mind that Summit Carbon Pipeline says that's the last thing they want to do. So, go ahead, Aaron.
I just, and what you said there, I think regarding what my thinking was pretty well correct. I just want to make sure, like a resolution itself, it's not like an ordinance, right? I mean, it's not really even like an ordinance. It's just kind of a stated position. I would, and this may not be exactly correct because there's differences, but between between local and federal government. But, sometimes you'll hear like the U.S. House of Representatives, the United States Senate, they might pass a resolution saying something. Now, that resolution does not have the force of statute. What that is an expression of preference or opinion or policy of a certain lawmaking body. So this resolution, whether it's for the counties that pass a resolution, I don't think they're not really doing anything other than stating their opinion. I don't think they're doing anything that can really be challenged in court. I mean, somebody can challenge in court all the time. I mean, somebody can sue me when I walk down the hall because they think I should walk on the left instead of the right. I mean, so somebody can sue you all the time. I can't say that. But a resolution itself shouldn't expose anybody to any kind of litigation itself. An ordinance, and like an ordinance, if you passed an ordinance, they might say this law is invalid. They might sue you. A resolution shouldn't have that same effect. I'm not saying whether you are to pass it or not, but I'm just saying I wouldn't worry and I don't want to say this and then, you get sued and you're saying, well, thanks a lot, Murphy. I'm just saying that I don't see that a resolution would expose, the county to the same kind of maybe litigation that like an ordinance would. I tell you, and this is, I'm not an eminent domain expert, although I have studied it a fair amount in the past, more of a student than as a practitioner. This seems to be one area, there's, and I would get in trouble with courts saying that they wouldn't like it, but it's true. There are certain things that courts take up that they spend a lot of time trying to put a legal analysis on, but in the end, they're just doing what they damn well want to do and what they think they want to do. Eminent domain is one of those, in my opinion. You've got that Kelo case. I remember that case come out. I don't know exactly, I don't remember exactly what it says. I've read it many times, but I mean, I know what it did. And so what you've got is you've got this tension between traditionally eminent domain was, hey, you can take land for a public purpose, and that generally was regarded as like highways, things like that, right? And then somewhere along the line, then it got expanded where I think, even like back in maybe the 70s, you had private land developers that were wanting to use eminent domain to say, hey, we want to seize this property because we want to put a development here. We want to put a shopping mall, we want to put a resort, we want to put hotels, we want to put whatever we want to put. Well, the pushback on that was, that's not a public purpose. You can't use eminent domain for that. Well, sure enough, you found plenty of courts, and I think even the U.S. Supreme Court along the line said, oh, no, that's public purpose. If that's public purpose, that's going to benefit the public. That's good enough. So all you've got here is this tension. And if you read these decisions and try and come up with some coherent view, I don't think you're going to find it. Because they don't really seem to apply one. They just kind of seem to do, well, what do we think we want to do? And they do it. So that was kind of a rant, probably about nothing other than I can see where the dispute is, I guess is what I'm saying. And that, passing a resolution, I don't think I think it's a county elected board on behalf of the citizens saying, this is what we think. People may not listen to you, I don't know, but I don't think, I don't know if that makes it clear or not, but I don't think the resolution would, I'm not saying whether you ought to do it or not, but I don't think the resolution should really expose anybody to anything other than it's an expression of an opinion. And I have a right to say mine, right? If I want to, I can walk up and down the street and say what I want to say. So that resolution is just kind of the same thing.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Sydney.
Aye.
Todd.
Now I'm lost on who made that second motion to change, and then who made the motion and who seconded it?
Mike made the amendment, and I seconded the amendment.
Okay. Me?
Yeah.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Mike.
Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on tax abatement. The city gave us quite a few abatement of taxes.
So there's two buildings that the city acquired that probably should have came and asked for a little earlier on this. 607 and 609 Main Street. We just received a tax statement earlier this month, and generally, obviously, we don't pay taxes on the land that we own. It's a little unique situation. We did it a couple of years ago, I think, on a street. We assumed there was deed tax, but this was a little different scenario where it was actually some real estate. The city has since sold 607 off for redevelopment. And then we're working on 609 right now. We have a standing offer. So the request is just to probably eliminate some of that redundancy of us paying taxes to them get back.
So they're coming off for 2 years and they're gonna be back on after this new person buys it?
Yep. So the 607's already sold off. We got that taken care of and closed 2 weeks ago. And then 609, hopefully, no guarantees, but by October, middle October, we'll have that wrapped up. So they'll be back on the tax rolls. And
So it's how long have you owned these?
a little over a year, oh, close to a year, right around a year.
And then there's three other ones there that are really tiny, small property that the owner is unknown. So that's about it.
But they're still under the same abatement order number?
Nope, so there's 5 different ones. There's one for each of the city of Osage, and then there's 3.
Oh, I didn't go down that far. Okay.
Keep scrolling, Jill.
Yeah, keep going, all right. Thank you for saying
And
that.
what ends up with those small properties then is available for somebody to purchase?
Well, you'd have to be able to go, we tried to go back to the legal descriptions, and it leaves those tiny little pieces. Nothing's claimed to those. So I don't know if I have an answer for that.
If it is something where it comes back to the city and we are.
They're in county parks.
Oh, they're in county parks, okay, sorry.
Cool.
They're very minimal,
Yeah,
what, $4?
$6.
$6, $4, and $10.
I don't think we have an option to not approve it because I think the code says we shall do it. I mean, it's just a formality that the board has to make it happen, but we have to do it, so. If it fits the legality of the process, so.
Do I do the county separate than the city or do them all together?
I would move to approve abatement orders number 347, 348, 349, 350, and 351.
You have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, any other discussion?
Roll call, Mike,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Sydney.
I appreciate it.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Items of note, meetings attended.
Attended an ISAC meeting down in Des Moines last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Had all elected officials down there, ranged from department heads also. As far as the supervisors end of it, seminars regarding the budget processes, legislative priorities for the upcoming session, housing, artificial intelligence, IT, cybersecurity throughout the state, elections, a lot of stuff, a lot of great information. And probably I wasn't gonna say this, but I think I have, probably the coolest one was the very first one. It was a retired CIA spy that was a spy for 31 years. The room was death silence when he was talking. I mean, we're talking KGB stuff and I could go on and on, but his family, it was all lies. He met his wife. They were both spies. Neither one of them knew what their missions were. Their families didn't know they were doing that. They had 2 jobs, a day job, and then they did this. He had multiple jobs. He was an investment banker in France. It was amazing. Anyway, that was probably the coolest thing. So, but I could really go on at that. So had that at ISAC, very informational. And then yesterday, Ashley Henson was at Valent, did the tour of Valent, and that was also very good. So that's what I had.
I went to ISAC as well, and he explained enough of it.
Sorry about that. Took a call. Sorry about
You
that.
did. It's okay.
Had no meetings.
I didn't have anything this week.
I had a FMC DCAT meeting. went over the year 24 review numbers. We had some carryovers, which was good. And right into the FY 25 contracting financials, which we're good to go for 1 year through the legislature. Talked about realignment in both FMC DCAT and I had FMC early childhood meeting. I do have a map that I talked about last week. It's kind of up here in that northeast corner. I don't know, is where they're thinking of putting Mitchell County. Everybody in my meetings have talked about it, but there's nothing for sure. So, and then in my FMC early childhood meeting, again, we reviewed the 24 numbers and reports. We had our preschool scholarships are all out. Head Start Services in Chickasaw, Floyd gave a review. And again, we reviewed the 25 financials, which the legislature says we're good on our dollar amounts. We have a transitional plan, which our board chair is retiring, Floyd County Supervisors retiring, Human Service Representatives retiring, and we need one more at-large board member. So there was a lot of discussion, and our director, she will be retiring at the end of the year also. But we're not doing anything with that until we find out where our realignment and everything is, and we may already have a director in one other county, so. And that was it.
And that map looks the same as a county social service map,
Is it?
which is the same as the judicial map. It's kind of strange, the state's combining everything the same.
Because one of the discussions down there also was public health, home health, basically public health, and they said that public health is gonna be the same. The map will look the same, but it's uncertain as far as what the state's gonna do in regards to changes in the public health realm. They did say that every county is going to have a public health. That's, this guy said that. So.
Todd, with that map, does that pulls Mitchell County aligning with counties to the east of us as opposed to?
Yeah, northeast.
Okay, which would be different than it has been in the past.
Yeah, basically the two I'm on with the FMC early childhood and DCAT has been Floyd, Mitchell, and Chickasaw. And this map is adding Winneshiek, Allen Key, Clayton, Fayette, Bremer, Butler, Franklin, Cerro Gordo, Hardin, Grundy, Marshall, Tama.
Wow. That's a lot of geography for
Yeah, and
a single entity to try to manage. A lot of diversity.
yeah, and to try and line up everybody a certain meeting night, and yeah, but I guess we have, like we said last night, we'll do what we have to do we need it. We need the public home health, families making connection, early childhood, 6 to 18-year-olds need, so we'll do what we have to do once we get it.
Very good. Manure management plan update.
One for Double K Farming, 1833 500th Street, Sinnian's-Grove.
All right. Public comments. Any public comments? Mr. Horgan.
I have a public comment. It's interesting listening to the board work here with home health and with eminent domain issues. The fact is that larger government than we are planning us out of the situation before we even know it's coming. Big money issues that are dealt with federally and with the state. You know, the states, county cities and county governments out of decisions that they want to go the way they want to go. Our voices have to be louder than we take care of ourselves locally. We do what needs to be done. But the people above us are negating that by making legislation that cuts us out of any decision making. Just a comment I had.
I agree. Congratulations. Any other
I have-
public comment?
I have a comment.
Yes.
My first comment goes to the individual who just spoke. Yes, the CO2 pipeline coming into Iowa is first in kind. So there will be a lot of conflict and figuring out between different levels of government because it's new and there aren't the regulations in place. So in South Dakota, there's people standing up and they're challenging some of this. In October, there'll be a challenge before the Supreme Court in Iowa. So just sitting back and accepting is not representing the people who need a voice. The elected officials are people who've been elected to represent us and express that voice. So that's what we're looking for when we're asking for these things. The second thing I have to say is that right now last we heard from public information from Summit was there were 0% voluntary easements in Mitchell County. Now, this seems to get confused with survey access. Last we heard, there was about 60% survey access. Survey access and easements are completely different things. And the county of Mitchell County does not have eminent domain. Summit does not have eminent domain over Mitchell County as of yet. Both of those dockets for Hanlon Town and Absolute Energy haven't even gone to hearing yet. And that will be decided upon those hearings. But right now, there's a lot of misinformation being spread around the county about people having 75% easements, and that's just not the case. There's a 75% easement unverified on the main line, the phase one, with only like one landowner signing in the last year. But that's completely distinct from Mitchell County. So those types of information have to be stated clearly. Otherwise, it becomes a misinformation ball that gets spread around. Third, the costs to the county. There are lawsuits on ordinances and such, and some of those counties have reported they have not paid a dime through all of this litigation on the lawsuits and going to appeals. So it seems to be fear mongering all the time that action isn't taken out of fear of being sued, because the insurance companies have covered that type of litigation so far. So that's something that needs to be considered, because if we're always sitting back, saying, oh, we can't because of a lawsuit, then we're not representing the people. And the third one and the final one is that myself and others came to this board and we talked about inspectors ahead of time. And ISG has had a poor record with DAPL, and they have connections with Summit. And we asked for there to be consideration and research and look into other inspector services. And at this time, within just a few seconds, we hear ISG brought up and bam, they're on. So I'd like to know what kind of research was done and what kind of investigation and talking with different inspector services went on prior to this decision. That's my final. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding your first comment, did you say that the individual that didn't vote, is that what you said?
The individual who didn't vote?
Is that, maybe I heard you wrong, sorry.
Individual that just spoke.
It just spoke. Oh,
Yes.
because everybody voted, so I heard you incorrectly,
No,
I'm
she was
sorry.
talking about Keith. That was.
Okay, my apologies.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yes. Don't, go ahead. Yep.
I want to thank you for passing this resolution. I think the landowners in Mitchell County affected don't want this, and my research into their eminent domain is for an eternity. I had an uncle who was involved in building the holding tanks in Hanover, Washington to hold the nuclear waste. They're leaking. They've been leaking for a long time. They're asking for something for an eternity, and I haven't seen anything from Summit on how long these pipes are going to last. I think I just heard on the radio today, another company that had bought some easements, and then they've decided not to do it. Summit bought them up, and now those landowners are contesting it. So there's to buy an easement for an eternity, and then those easements can be sold to who knows who in the future to do anything they want with the land. I thank you for standing up, at least passing this resolution, and I think we can't be afraid to stand up to Summit, because the potential harm to our community and our citizens is huge.
That was Navigator that sold their.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of those, Navigator, and then Summit is buying up their easements. Because once they have an easement, they can sell them to anybody in the future, and the landowner has no control and no say. And these easements aren't for like the life of the pipeline, which might be 10 years or 20 years. These are for an eternity. This is forever. The landowners have to give up their land for a private company.
It was last Wednesday on Channel 6 News. They had Alan was on there. Tyler told me from Statesville, they put that, is it pollinator out there? And that, they claim that's going to produce 170 tons of CO2 a year. They got it there. So there's other ways to do it besides pipelines. So,
And trees.
Around every ethanol plant, there's idle land sitting there. They can put pollinators around there too. So
Also in that market said about the prairie, the prairie, 170 tons, that was the number, but prairies take out more carbon than what trees do. I found that interesting comment.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
any other public comment?
Again, I want to say thank you too for signing the resolution. And this is one more step toward protecting our land and the water of Mitchell County, which will affect all of us if these pipelines leak, which they're bound to do, as Penny said, is a forever easement. And we know the pipes won't last that long, and that they will rust through. They only said they would be a 1/4 inch thick. The other piece that you might be interested in more is that realtors have predicted that land values will drop by 15 to 30%. And so the tax base will drop wherever these pipes are.
Yeah, I've read that too.
Yes.
Just wanted to say thank you also for standing up and stating what we here in this room feel about eminent domain and its misuse in this case, and also for protecting people against corporate misuse of our private land.
Any other? So hands, so we'll adjourn at 9:29. Thank you very much.